I think there is a golden rule of marketing where like you market to others as you would want to be marketed to. I'm all for like getting maximizing conversions, but you have to do it in a way that doesn't ruin the long-term relationships. How communication is going to be happening with brands in the next 5-10 years? The answer is obvious. It's going to be messaging apps. With Instagram, for example, now, like this is a huge launch. Right now is the biggest opportunity. If you want to be ahead of the market, right now is the time. It's not too late. Chat marketing is just getting started because the major platforms are just opening up. Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, Apple Business Messages, Google Business Messages. It's going to be amazing.
Ողջույն եւ բարի գալուստ աչիգոթվային մարքեթինգի գործակալության YouTube-յան ալիք։ Տևական ժամանակ է ինչ մենք մեր ալիքում չէինք հրապարակել վիդեոներ, սակայն այսօրվանից մենք վերսկսում ենք մեր on-line ակտիվ գործունեությունը ու մեր վերադարձը չէր կարող լինել ավելի ուժեղ, քան այսօրվա մեր հատուկ էպիզոդը, քանի որ այսօր մենք մեր գրասենյակում հյուրընկալել ենք ManyChat չաթբոտերի կառուցման աշխարհում ամենամեծ պլատֆորմի համահիմնադիր եւ տնօրեն Մայքյանին։ Եթե դուք մարքեթինգի մասնագետ կամ բիզնեսի սեփականատեր եք, ապա խորհուրդ կտամ մնալ մինչև վերջ, քանի որ այսօր քննարկելու ենք շատ կարևոր հարցեր ու ունենք ձեր համար շատ կարևոր նորություններ։ Ես կշարունակեմ անգլերեն ու դուք հնարավորություն կունենաք հետևել արդեն թարգմանությամբ։ Hey Mike, welcome to Armenia, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for taking the time out of your crazy schedule to do this podcast with us. And there's a lot to cover today, especially given the fact that another huge wave in chat marketing is coming up. We will talk about it in a minute, but before we start, I want to ask some quick questions. So is it your first visit to Armenia?
No, actually, I was visiting, when I was younger, I was visiting Armenia almost every year because my grandmother is Armenian and she used to take me usually for summer. So yeah, definitely not the first time.
Yeah. So do you speak Armenian or know some words, phrases?
Kamats. Che. Hayran chem khosuman.
And also, people are curious about your age. Maybe this question is not, very appropriate, but people want to know.
No, I'm 31.
31, that's nice. All right, so let's get into the juicy part of our podcast. So every brand, every company has a story to tell, and ManyChat is no exception. And so what's the story of ManyChat? And also you can talk about your F-ups.
The story of ManyChat starts in 2015 when Telegram actually opened up their APIs. And it was the first time when a Western messaging app allowed third-party developers like ourselves to automate conversations on their messaging app. Telegram was pretty, compared to the current size of the messaging platforms, was pretty small. It was 65 million monthly active users. But we were active users and we thought this is a great opportunity to help businesses and customers connect over this new medium. So we decided to build a chatbot platform. It initially didn't take off. Nobody ever really understood what we were doing. It was summer of 2015, right? But after a while, people started to understand and it started to grow virally. And 9 months later, in April 2016, Facebook Messenger opened up their APIs. And we switched our focus to Facebook Messenger because it's a bigger platform. The opportunity in the upside is much bigger. And luckily, succeeded in creating the #1 messenger marketing platform, and now with the expansion to Instagram and WhatsApp, we're really excited about what's coming for chat marketing as an industry.
Yeah, and so how would you describe the mission of ManyChat?
The mission of ManyChat is to help businesses grow by building meaningful relationships with their customers. So we want to help you have more timely, relevant conversations that are valuable to your business and to your customers. We believe that chat is a better way to build those relationships, and it's more interactive, it's more fun, it's more engaging, and it's the platform of choice for billions of customers around the world.
So in 2015, when you were just founding the ManyChat, most people had no idea what's chatbot, what is chat marketing in general. And I guess there were a lot of doubts. Looking back, could you guess in 2015 that in 2021 ManyChat would be at this stage that it's right now?
We hoped, right? Like when we were launching initially, we didn't, like we are kind of like had a vision for a global platform that is doing a lot of things across the whole customer life cycle and all of the channels. So that vision was already in place in 2015. Now, the thing is that at that point we were much more naive in terms of thinking how hard it would be to scale beyond certain aspects, certain use cases, platforms and channels. And so I would say that we did have those ambitions, but we're very lucky to have succeeded in making the messenger piece work. Now we're working towards making the broader vision work, where more channels are going to be enabled and more use cases.
Yeah. So right now, if I'm not mistaken, ManyChat has more than 1 million users, right? Companies who use
we have the number of businesses connections, yes. So the number of businesses who have installed the app.
And there are way more business pages on Facebook.
There is about tens of millions of business pages.
But from my perspective, right now every business needs a chatbot, right? To better their customer service, to better also their campaigns. Do you think there is some kind of misunderstanding or skepticism around the efficiency of chat marketing? That's why we have such difference in numbers.
Yeah, I think first of all, there is always a question of you can have 100 million business pages overall, but then how many people of those are actually, first of all, are actually using those business pages, right? Are actively doing something with them. That's one thing. Another thing is how many people of those are actually savvy enough to figure out how to use ManyChat, because ManyChat is not you have to invest time into learning how the flow builder works, what are the rules, what are the policies.
Although we have to mention that you don't need a programming background or something.
Yeah,
it's easy to use, but still you need to invest some time.
It's a really paradoxical, on one hand, everybody says, oh guys, you're so easy to use. The platform is so simple, it's visual, it's a flow builder, it's so intuitive. On the other hand, people who do not get the initial rules, the fundamental blocks of how, what are the rules, how they are connected, everything else, they're I don't get how, what's the use case and how to use it. So I think once you pass a certain, initial steeper curve where you oh, I can do an ad and run it to Messenger, and then the chatbot will just automatically qualify the lead and nurture them.
Especially when you see the results, right?
Yeah. So there you're oh, yeah, I get it, how I can use. And then when you start to build it, you're okay, yes, this is intuitive. This is messages. I just connect the buttons and it's all good and well. So yeah.
So let's talk about the next big thing. So it's called Instagram automation. And I think all the marketers and business owners who use ManyChat have been waiting for this for a couple of years now. Why did it take so long, let's say, a couple of years?
Yeah.
Is it because Facebook, didn't open up their APIs for Instagram?
Yeah.
And how this happened, why they decided to do it now, and anything you want to share on this?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, yes, it is because Facebook didn't open up their APIs for Instagram up until this point, and still they're closed. We're in the beta right now with them.
And it's closed beta, right?
It's a closed beta, but everybody should go to manychat.com/Instagram.
You can see it on the screen right now.
And subscribe to the beta and join the wait list. And this is how you can get your hands on the IG features before anybody else. Now, Facebook, I don't like. It's probably a better question for Facebook why they decided to take a longer type of approach, because Messenger was opened for 5 years now, right? And 5 years later, we are now getting Instagram and also WhatsApp. WhatsApp has been open since August 2018, but it was open for bigger brands and for enterprise type of companies. Now it's getting into the SMB space, where you will be able to get WhatsApp automation at a much cheaper price than you can do it right now. With Instagram, I think they just took their time to, one of the key things why it's happening right now, I think, is because Facebook and Messenger and Instagram are getting merged in terms of their backend, how the messages work and how like they interact with each other. And I think the APIs for the automation are also getting interconnected. Like for example, one key thing is that for Instagram, you will need a Facebook page that is connected to your Instagram account to do the automation. So the thing is, we're going to be actually using, like, the way that Facebook has built those APIs is that Facebook page is basically using the Messenger APIs that are sending, like, they're Instagram APIs, but they're using basically the same type of backend technology.
And do you have some, approximate time frame on when it will be available to everyone, or not yet?
We're not allowed to say the date of the launch, but it's going to be soon. So.
Soon.
Yeah.
Wait for it. What can businesses do better to use the power of chat marketing more effectively and drive more results? Because I'm guessing you have a lot of data on this, and you can see the common mistakes that businesses make when using the platform.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people do not understand fully how. I think it's not a mistake, it's just
lack of information.
Yeah, not really understanding like what use cases is it really good for and what things it's not really good for. So for example, if you want to do things like constant re-engagement and like kind of like newsletter type of things, for example, Messenger is going to probably block you, even though you can use message tags technically to send information beyond 24 hours. Those message tags are not supposed to be used for that. There's like specific use cases and you know what they are. So really knowing your policies and understanding what it's really good for. And one hint that like direct use case that we see come up a lot is using Facebook ads in conjunction with automation. So increasing the conversion rate and the results of the Facebook ads by driving them not to a landing page, but by driving those Facebook ads directly to a Messenger experience where it's automated. It gets you just much better results in terms of conversion rates and engagement. If you think about it, it's really logical because when you send people to a landing page, it's you're just like sending them to an information page where they still are in the passive mode of consuming and they just scroll and leave the page. When you send people to a Messenger conversation that is automated, you're instantly in the engagement phase where the person is actively clicking and responding. It's much more interactive. And you also get 24 hours to re-engage them. So for example, if they stop and they drop off, you can actually re-engage them in 5 minutes. And I think those micro re-engagements are really, really important because it's not about like re-engaging somebody like 5 hours later, right? Because they're already outside the context of the feeling and the state of when they were clicking on the ad. So I think there's lots of things why people might get disengaged. They got a notification, they got a timer, their battery died, they put the phone in their pocket, something happened, right? So re-engaging in a minute, in 5-10 minutes, and trying to see if the person really wants to continue. If they don't, don't bother them. I think one of the mistakes that people have as marketers, just generally, trying to talk to people who do not want to talk to them. Yes, the person clicked on the ad, they thought that they were interested, they read more, they're not, like, stop bothering them.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not working out for them. Now, I'm not saying like do not, like, for example, retarget them, right? Because retargeting is much less invasive than like sending messages within the 24-hour window. But like if the person is not engaging with the buttons and everything else, probably, like, I think there is a golden rule of marketing where like you market to others as you would want to be marketed to, right? So just using common sense in that and not trying to like get every last bit of conversion, which might result, like, I'm all for like getting maximizing conversions, but you have to do it in a way that doesn't ruin the long-term relationships with, like, and does not ruin your brand, because those people who didn't buy today, maybe they're going to come back like in 2 weeks and see you with another product. And if they had a bad experience where you try to like push them and squeeze them, etc., they get discouraged, like they're like, oh, I don't like this brand. So like always be on this side of building long-term brand value and equity in that regard, because it will pay off, because in a month and 2 months, like those people, like you're still going to talk to those, and they're going to remember that if you treated them well when they didn't buy, they're like, oh, I actually like those guys, and like, yeah, they're not going to bother me if I say I don't want to. So I think that shift toward from being just an abstract brand and business to being much more friendly and having that personality, right, and understanding what's the voice that you want to achieve, what's the emotion that you want to achieve. I think that's going to be one of the changes in the coming years. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. So let's talk about what it's like to be the CEO of ManyChat, because I think being a CEO is hard, running a business is hard, especially when it comes to ManyChat.
When you said that, I remembered oh, sorry for interrupting you, but there is a song by The Lonely Island. It's a trio of comedy rappers, and they have and they have the "I'm the Boss" song, which is really, really funny. But yeah,
say it right now. We can hear it. Okay, so, and how do you deal with stress related to scaling ManyChat?
Lots of Red Bull. In terms of stress, I think building a business is always stressful. Like if you talk to any founder, everybody is like, there's always a question of like mental health, founder mental health, and there's a thing called like founder depression with all the ups and downs of doing a startup. I think it's the way that first of all, I would say that the first thing that I would say is that you should take care of yourself, sleep, because I think the way that I get sick, like really like physically, is if I start sleeping less than 5-6 hours for several days in a row. Like you can take a few of these days in a row and then recover and then pay off that sleep debt. But if you do it, for me personally, I know people who can do it like literally for years and feel pretty well. But I'm just talking about my personal experience. So that was one of the things that really is important part of that. Making sure that you don't associate yourself with the business that much, which is really hard. I think for emotional stability, because of the volatile nature of startups, it's always going up and down, and especially in the beginning where like it's all about the future, it's all about the potential. And one day you feel this potential and you feel like it's going to change the whole world and it's going to conquer every market and you're going to be super successful and the company is going to bring a lot of value, etc. And then the next day you're feeling tired or whatever it is, and you stop feeling the potential and you're like, oh, this is going nowhere, nobody's going to buy this, we're not getting any traction, etc. And it just goes on and on and on like this. And the reason for that is because that potential and that lack of potential, both of those positions are actually there, because the future hasn't been realized yet, right? So like you're just fantasizing about what is going to come, and depending on your internal state, either you're hyped and you're confident, you can feel like a lot of power and a lot of inspiration, and then if you're feeling down, it goes the same way. So the way that one of the ways to work with that is to like start to dissociate yourself a bit from the outcome of the company, in terms of, not in a bad way, not like just not being concerned about it, but in a way that not associating your emotional state directly with that outcome. Because when you do, like a lot of founders, they would associate not only that, but they would associate a sense of self-worth, right? Like if my company does something, I achieved something, I did something, right? Like I feel good about myself. If my company doesn't go anywhere, right? I'm a failure, and you become like unconfident and feel that. I think understanding that there is a lot of external factors, but then not saying that, oh, there's a lot of external factors, like it's faith, I'm just gonna relax. I think it's about getting to the attitude of doing what you must, and then accepting the outcomes of whatever happens, and understanding that like we had to, before ManyChat, we were for 6 years, we were not really we did like 4 projects, and some of them worked better, but none of them had the level of achievement or the level of outcome that we were looking for. And so a lot of those projects didn't go anywhere, and it was like for 6 years, right? And for the last 4 years before, like from 2010, 2011 till 2015, we were doing projects that weren't really going anywhere and weren't growing, and it was a constant frustration where for years you're trying to grow something and you're not getting that traction. It happens, but then like the other thing happens, like then ManyChat happens, and there's still lots of risk, there's still a lot of things that are in the future for us, but at least we're able to get to this stage, and I'm already glad that we did. I feel like that myself, my co-founder, and the whole team has been very lucky to get to this position. What I think is critical to understand is that there's going to be like a lot of, if you're doing companies, it's not like a one-shot type of thing. Mm-hmm. Like try one thing, maybe it doesn't work out, try another. There's lots of bullets. Like if you're starting to build companies in your spare time, like in your 20s, in your 30s, there's going to be lots of bullets, and you'll have your chance. Like just take this as a learning experience. Try to get as much out of it. Try to be a better leader, a better strategist, a better executive, a better founder every day. And this will, maybe not in this project, maybe in the next, maybe like 3 projects down the line, but it's going to show, and it's going to increase your chances of success. It's like any skill. So I think that's kind of like the attitude, is that try your best and learn as much as you can. And I don't know, like there's not a lot of stories where like the first thing that the person did really paid off. Usually it's a bunch of failures, and then at some point something clicks. And actually there's also a myth of like the young founder. And sure, there is a lot of young founders, but the average age of a successful founder is around 40 years. So like makes sense. Like by 40 you learn a bunch of stuff, and like your chances of success are much higher. So don't feel like you're rushed into, like if Mark did it when he was at Harvard and became a billionaire.
You don't need to compare yourself.
Like you're always gonna like sure, but like if you compare yourself to like the one person or like to like the best of the best of the best like in the industry, you have to understand and this is not counterintuitive, but like I don't think that a lot of people think about this. When you think about anybody who is like beat a certain record, for example, like the youngest billionaire or whatever it is, like all the stars have to align. That's the reason that's an outlier and that's a record, because all the stars have to align in terms of the market, the opportunity, the connections, everything, the team, everything has to get aligned for that thing to happen. So there is certainly a lot of effort and hard work in that. There's also a lot of nature and luck in that happening. So that has to be understood. That said, if we go a step deeper into like not the top 1 percentile, but let's say in the top, let's say 20 percentile, then at that point you get to a level like with hard work, almost like a lot of people could actually reach that if they're given the proper training, the proper opportunities, and everything else. I am a fan of UFC, and the one coach has said that I cannot make you a champion because like that like for that to happen, like a lot of things have to like come into alignment, but I can make you a pro. I almost anybody, I can like teach them and work with their strengths, and there's lots of ways to become a pro and this is actually one of the things that I like about the sport, is because like there's not like one way or like one perfect form for you to follow. Like you could beat people like on the ground, standing, striking, grappling, using power or using stamina. So there's lots of ways to approach this, and the job of the coach is to figure out what are your strengths and to amplify those, and then to cover the weaknesses, and that's how you can become a pro. So I think that's the approach. Not like if you become that like number one top, like good for you. Like, but don't compare yourself, because if you do that, you're basically losing out. You're making a emotional, tactical mistake, because by doing that, you're going to be getting you're not going to come out on top in that comparison, and then you're going to be beating yourself up, and that's not going to be a healthy relationship with yourself. And you should be like kind to yourself. Like the world is already harsh enough.
Very insightful. So one last question. So what's your number one advice to the beginning marketers who are thinking about learning more about chatbot marketing? And what will be your advice? Is it worth it?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the thing is, I'm not here to like tell everybody, oh, you should be doing this. Like you should think for yourself, right? You should figure out, maybe like you figure out that this is your strength and you're really good at it, and then you should definitely do it. Maybe like something else is your strength. Like I don't mind people like not doing chat marketing, whatever works for you guys. But I would say that chat marketing is definitely the edge of the marketing communication in the regard that it's the most advanced and field that is changing every day, that can provide you with an advantage over the rest of the competition and the way to differentiate yourself from other folks in the industry. It's not as easy to understand. You have to have a certain mindset for like building out the conversational flows, building out the conditions and actions in the flow builder. But once you get it, it becomes really easy, and you have a certain skill that nobody else has that is only going to grow in value. Like I've been talking about this since like 2016 when Messenger came about, and when Facebook changed the rules of like the broadcast and everything else, a lot of people were, oh, like this is the end of chat marketing, this is the end of and what they don't understand is that It's not like because it's not you or Facebook who are deciding like is this like it's customers. If the customers are continuing to use messaging platforms, then there is always going to be use cases that are very, very valuable for businesses to automate on those platforms. And Facebook wants actually, like it might seem like they're like restricting, like for example, last year, like the broadcasting. And we've talked about this before the interview. You're saying like it's better for the ecosystem, right? Because it gets rid of the spam. It makes the platform high signal, because if you give marketers the ability to broadcast for free anytime, it becomes email, right?
And eventually it will die.
The open rates are down, the CTRs are down, all of that. So the way that you would think about this is, I would say this is kind of like what I wanted to get there at is like, and 3 months later, like literally, it was back in like November, December, and now it's April, and Instagram is coming out, and everybody's again excited. So to be honest, I don't pay attention to like the hype curves. I pay attention to the longer underlying shifts. And the biggest underlying shift is the change to mobile, right? Mobile traffic is now the most dominant traffic, like in terms of page views and actually sales. So that's one trend that is inevitable. The other one is mobile internet, and then messaging apps as the foundation of peer-to-peer communication. If you take that and you think about how communication is going to be happening with brands in the next 5-10 years, the answer is obvious. It's going to be messaging apps. So even though right now that shift is only starting, like you could be on the kind of like bearish train and just wait, but you're going to be in the basically with the same people who are like shorting Tesla, and like it's like certain things are inevitable, like it or not. So Instagram is coming, WhatsApp is coming, and then we're going to be adding probably Telegram, Google Business Message. Every platform, every major platform is opening up their APIs for the chat solutions. And if you're a marketer, you're like at the end, as with like, for example, email right now, right, for a lot of countries, like you should be doing like having an email list, doing email broadcasts, just continuing that conversation and staying top of mind with your customers. Same thing with chat, but chat is going to be much more important because it's not only for like re-engagement, it's also for incoming inquiries, it's also for taking orders, replying to service questions, doing marketing and sales, all of those things. And your job, like every marketer's job at the end, is going to be understanding how the chat channels work. So those who are going to be learning it right now are going to be at the forefront and are going to be the ones who are going to be actually taking that market, because they're like yourself, like you've been in this business for like years already. Somebody who's just coming in, you have an advantage over because you already launched a lot of campaigns, you know the rules, you know the policies. That's like what is making a difference in terms of you being able to sell your services. Another person will take like a few years to get to your level. And with Instagram, for example, now, like this is a huge launch. It's going to enable so much more commerce and automation, and you can already dive in. You know what campaigns you're going to be building.
Of course.
Like you know, like we're going to do this. This is how we're going to integrate, etc. Somebody who is just learning about chat marketing, they're like, how do you, like, what are the use cases? What am I going to be doing with Instagram? Like, how can I use this? You already know those answers. Now, this is not to discourage anybody from going in. What I'm trying to say is that because you already learned, you have that advantage. Now, the key thing here is that 99% of marketers don't know anything about chat marketing. Everybody like looks like and talks good, but like the actual people who dived in, created successful campaigns and actually achieved results, there's not a lot of them.
It's not about just building a welcome message, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not about building a welcome message, it's about building a successful campaign that actually gets you results. So if you want to take that advantage, then you got to invest in learning that. And I think if you do that right now is the biggest opportunity, because in 2 years, you're going to be just coming in with the rest of the majority of the market when it's going to become available. If you want to be ahead of the market, right now is the time. It's not too late.
So even though chat marketing was around since 2015, we can clearly say that it's just getting
for sure.
started.
It's still early adopters. It's still early adopters and innovators. It's not even in the majority because it's like, look, email marketing is still growing. And the industry has been around for 20 years. And there are still people who are like, okay, so like I need to figure out email marketing. Like chat marketing is just getting started because the major platforms are just opening up. Like it's been all about Messenger for the past like 5 years. And now we're talking about Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, Apple Business Messages, Google Business Messages. It's going to be amazing.
And as we love to say, the future of marketing is chat marketing, and that future is now, right?
The future is chat, and it's now.
Yeah, and it's now. Okay, so thank you so much for this comprehensive interview. I really enjoyed it, and we look forward to meeting you in Armenia soon again.
Thank you for having me.
Շնորհակալություն, որ մնացիք մինչև վերջ, եթե հավանեցիք չմոռանաք լայք դնել վիդեոին եւ անպայման բաժանորդագրվել, որպեսզի բաց չթողնեք մեր նոր վիդեոները։ Stay tuned.